Today we're going to be going over some fragrances that are expensive, but in my opinion, they are 100% worth it. Whether you sample them, you blind buy them, you check them out one way or another, I think it's worth going about getting your nose on these just to see what all of the hype is about, and then you can make your decision from there. But I think when you take a look at the broad picture with each of these and you factor in all of the important stuff, performance, quality, mass appeal, they check all of those boxes. It's just a matter of finding which one works best for you and your needs. So we're going to get things kicked off with more of a fall and winter scent, as that is kind of on the horizon here. We have Hugo Boss Bottled Absolute. This is one of the best in the lineup, hands down, without a question. This one is resinous. It's kind of smoky, mysterious, woody, but also sweet, ambery, olibanum, kind of myrrh, kind of resinous feel. It smells absolutely amazing. There is something about this one that it's hands down something that is unique and also still very wearable as well. And I think that oftentimes that's a bit of a hard balance to really nail, especially when we're talking designer releases. Having something that's different enough to be intriguing, but yet not too different to where you can't really pull it off. To be fair, Boss Bottled Elixir, which came right before this, is great as well. And both of them are similar. Boss Bottled Elixir is not quite to the level that this one is. So I think for some people, the Elixir might be a better choice. If you don't want something that is quite this heavy, you kind of have a bit of a variety to choose from here. And Boss Bottled Elixir, it still does a similar thing. This one basically takes it to the next level, which I prefer. And when we're talking expensive, I mean, it's really not outrageously expensive. In fact, we didn't go with any niche in this video. I could have, right? You could easily say, hey, this niche fragrance might cost $400, but it's worth it. But that's probably not what everybody's interested in. So these all are designers. Now, this does retail for like $140 or something, maybe a bit more. Now that's expensive, but you can get this on discounters usually for around $85 to $90 or so, sometimes $95, depending on where you're shopping, but somewhere in that range. So saving quite a bit of money off of retail. And at that price point, the discounted price point, it is an absolute no-brainer. It just, again, it checks off all of those boxes that we were talking about at the beginning of the video. Great performer, great mass-pleasing smell, and just something unique, something a bit refreshing and exciting because it doesn't smell like anything else. And really, in all fairness, they could have taken this smell and even Boss Bottled Elixir and started a brand new lineup, because it's that different from all of the other Boss Bottled scents. Of course, they didn't do that, and they are not really in a hurry to do that because they're able to utilize this pre-existing, very popular fragrance lineup in order to just get it out there in a popular way quickly, as we've seen with so many fragrance lineups. But just know it's different enough to where it could have been its own new lineup. So there's no redundancy at all with this compared to the rest of the Boss Bottled lineup, aside from Boss Bottled Elixir, of course. Now, this next one is an Hermes fragrance. As far as the Terre d'Hermes lineup goes, that's really about all you hear from. They have H24 and stuff like that, but basically, when you think of Hermes, you think of Terre d'Hermes. And we do have one in this video, of course. It is Eau Intense Vetiver. So there's a couple different ways you could go about this one as well. I love the Parfum version. I really like, obviously, discontinued Eau Très Fresh, which is now basically Eau Givre. Those are amazing. And then, of course, even just the original, there's still nothing wrong with the original in this day and age either. This one has vetiver, bergamot, and Sichuan pepper, of course. So one thing I've always found interesting about this is that the other versions have vetiver as well. So it's not like revolutionary. However, there is much more of a focus on the vetiver in this one and a lack of orange. So the original and even the Parfum, they're known for utilizing that orange along with the woods and the spices. No orange. Get a different type of citrus here instead. So that on its own gives this one a little bit of a twist and kind of makes it stand out up against the rest of the lineup here. And honestly, some might even say that maybe this one is a little bit more versatile. It depends on what you like. If you don't really like that spicy, earthy orange combination that the others give off, you could say that maybe this one's a little bit more clean and a little bit more soapy, although I use that word very lightly because this is not a soapy fragrance, but it would be more so than the others. It's still on the earthy side, very woody and kind of sharp and spicy still, but it is maybe a little bit easier to wear. You know, for the most part, these fragrances are still kind of on the upper end as far as designer pricing goes, and I think they warrant the price. I don't really ever see these going down to being, you know, $40 to $50 for a normal size bottle anytime soon, and I don't think they should. I think that they are conducive to the price point that they demand on discounters. Retail price is a bit of a different story, but discounter pricing, you know, if you can get this for just under $100, I would say you're doing pretty good. And oftentimes you can get this one under that price point, no problem. You know, sometimes when you smell this, you almost get like a bit of a reminder to Tom Ford Gray Vetiver. Not as soapy and clean as that one, but it's just in that wheelhouse. So definitely a scent that is really, really easy to wear for pretty much anything. This next one is Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male Elixir Absolute. I mean, man, when you name out the full name and then also throw in the Parfum Intense or whatever they call it, Parfum Intense, you've got a pretty long name there. These are kind of getting crazy. This one has tonka bean, plum, cinnamon, and vanilla, right? It kind of has the existing DNA, but with a sweet, fruity plum, which was not there in the original elixir. You know, what I've kind of said before is this is almost kind of like a callback to Ultra Male. Instead of pear, it's plum, but it's using a very sweet, fruity note that is uncommon and tying it back into the already existing sweet DNA to give you a bit of a different twist. And by me saying that, I'm not saying that this smells like Ultra Male. I'm just saying they're kind of using a similar idea or a similar method here in order to bring this one into the lineup. Where the original elixir maybe was a little bit more mature because it was using this tobacco and honey combination, this one kind of walks back off of that again. This one goes away from that and back into the sweeter direction that is, you know, what you expect out of the lineup anyway. So if you're expecting like an even more mature, refined version of Le Male Elixir, this would not be it. Again, it's kind of doing its own little thing here. Yet another kind of weird choice for a flanker. But it still works, I guess. I do like how this smells a lot. I think it's really appealing, and yet again, another amazing performer. On discounters, these are starting to correct. I'll link it down below. You can get a 125 ml tester for $100, which is the lowest price I've seen this one go for so far. A lot of times they're going to be up into the 120s, 130s or more. So, you know, that's a good price for this one. And I think over time that price will continue to drop a little bit more. So depending on where you're shopping, it could be kind of expensive or it could be a little bit more reasonable. Ultimately though, if you know what your goals are and you kind of have an understanding of what you like, I think this one is definitely worth pulling the trigger on. Let's go for a new and improved Bvlgari Man in Black Parfum. This line sat vacant for a long time. I mean, not you know, the entire Man lineup, because we got all those other flankers, you know, Rain Essence and you know, Terra Essence and Wood Neroli and all that stuff. But the Bvlgari Man in Black lineup in general just went dormant because we did have a few flankers, obviously starting with the original, but then we had a few kind of limited edition, special edition ones, which I don't have, and it's always bothered me. Like there was Man in Black Orient that I tried really hard to get, but just was never able to find a bottle for a good price. And there's a couple more in there as well that looked really, really cool, and they didn't stick around for very long. And then it was just silence, nothing. And then finally we get Man in Black Parfum. I guess in the age of all of the parfums, Bvlgari decided, hey, let's you know, just throw a new one into this Man in Black lineup that we seemingly forgot about. This one has spices, woody notes, and benzoin. I mean, it still smells a lot like that original Eau de Parfum, just a little bit more premium, a little bit more refined, polished, and much better performing. You know, typically Man in Black gets compared up against Spice Bomb, the original Spice Bomb, and it would never really hold a candle to that one in terms of performance. And so that was one of the downsides people would say about Man in Black. This Parfum does fix that. This one performs much better, and I think if you were to buy Man in Black, I would just go straight for the Parfum and not worry about the EDP. Usually right at about $100 right now. That's the lowest price I've seen it so far for 100 ml. Again, over time, I think that will continue to drop down, but you know, it'll take a while to get it down to where the original Man in Black has been, which also took it a while to get to that price point as well. Let's go for YSL MYSLF. This is the Le Parfum in this nice matte black bottle. Has also been a little bit more expensive for a while on discounters, but is also finally coming down. I mean, you know, I was even seeing it like $150 for 100 ml discounter price, which is just on the upper end of things, really. But now it's finally getting to where it's sometimes for 120. Sometimes a sale will pop up and it'll be for like 110, 115 or something. But it's slowly getting there. Still not perfect. I would like to see it right around $100, 110. Might happen at some point. But again, we're on the right track. This one has orange blossom, vanilla, and amber. It smells great. I didn't think I was going to like it that much. And I didn't really think I was going to like the EDP that much either, and I do like it, although I just do prefer this Le Parfum. It's basically everything that the original EDP is, but better. Now, you can make the argument that the EDP is fresher, because it is. So if you do want the fresher of the two, the EDP would be the way to go, but this Le Parfum, to me, brings that added depth and richness to the DNA, which on its own was a little bit kind of falling flat. And so for me, this one is worth it. Going into this one, I think we all knew what to expect, and we all assumed that we weren't going to get something groundbreaking, and that's okay. This is another scent that you can add to your collection. You spend the money on now, which might hurt a little bit, you know, might sting, but now you've got something that you could wear for any situation, anytime. Spring, summer, fall, winter, I mean, it works for anything. You might have your preferences, but it would do the job no matter what. That nice bright orange blossom off the opening, it starts it off nice and fresh, but it does get a little bit more sweet as it dries down, a little bit woody as well. You've got that vanilla and that amber coming into play. It's a really nice blend from start to finish. Dior Homme Original is up next, and I'm so glad that we can get this one easily, and we have been able to for several months now. So everybody knows the story behind this. Dior Homme 2020 came out, and they nuked the original, just Dior Homme, because of that, and people were not very happy about it. Whether they already had this in the pipeline or not, I don't know, but not too long after, we got the Dior Homme Original release. And this just brings back that original Dior Homme smell. So the iris, the fresher iris. If you've smelled Dior Homme Intense, which most of you have, this is fresher. Obviously, Dior Homme 2020 is just different all on its own, completely different type of scent. I've always really liked Dior Homme, you know. I mean, Intense and the Parfum have always been in the spotlight. Even for a while, Dior Homme Eau was getting pretty popular too before it was discontinued, which is one of my favorites, but it got to a point where you didn't hear about just the original all that often. It wasn't until it got discontinued that people were really outraged about it. And so basically you wear it whenever Dior Homme Intense is too sweet. So for spring, maybe for the early parts of fall where there is still some warmth outside, the sun still comes out and Dior Homme Intense just isn't quite there yet, you could wear this. I mean, it's the perfect everyday work scent, you know. It does have still a little bit of a powdery sweetness, just not crazy. It's a fresher iris. And so, you know, you could pull it off on a daily basis. And so going back to the original story, when this first was announced, you could just not get it anywhere in the US. It would start trickling in small amounts. It would sell out quickly. But for the last several months, it's been in stock for just a little bit over $100. And that's great. And I hope it continues to stay that way, which I think it will. I recommend picking this one up if you want a fresher Dior Homme Intense. That's the easiest way to describe it, even though this DNA is what started that lineup. Most people have smelled Dior Homme Intense and know about it more than they probably do the original. And we're going to finish this video off with Acqua di Gio Elixir, usually at about $130 on discounters for the small 50 ml bottle. So when you factor in price per milliliter, this is by far the most expensive scent in this video. So this uses quite a bit of a floral component with some leather. So it's Acqua di Gio fresh aquatic DNA mixed with some leather and some florals, and that's what it is. Threw me off at first, and I didn't quite know how to take it. It was just, you know, as far as an elixir goes, it's kind of not what I was expecting. You know, that white floral freshness was unexpected. I was expecting something along the lines of Acqua di Gio Parfum, but richer. So that was, you know, interesting, and I was maybe a little bit disappointed at first, but after I wore this one more, I started to realize, you know what, I do actually really like this. That happens sometimes, and the price point is the big thing that you have to kind of figure out if it's going to be worth it to you or not. For a lot of people, the Parfum and Profondo are all you really need, but if you do want to grab this one, which kind of has a little bit of a leather take, I would look into it. The nice thing about this one is it does have great performance. Now, that's not necessarily completely uncommon. Maybe it is when you're talking about the original Eau de Toilette, but as far as the flankers go, at least the newer ones, Profondo Parfum, Acqua di Gio Parfum, they all have good performance, better than average for freshies. So they do hold their own, and this one also really performs well coming in at this Parfum concentration. It performs like one. You know, it does have some projection, but mostly leaves a heavy trail and lasts on skin for a very long time. I like this one for your more mild days, when it's really, really hot outside. Not my first choice, but when it's, you know, just a nice, you know, 80-degree day, right? Perfect for this. Coming into fall, when you got the warm in the afternoon, cool in the morning and evening, Acqua di Gio Elixir, perfect for it. So you can get a lot of usage out of this one as well. It's expensive, as I mentioned, and that sucks, and the price will continue to come down, but to me, it is worth at least trying, if not picking up. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. Some fragrances that are expensive, but you should still try them anyway. I'll drop links to everything I talked about today down below, so if you wanna pick any of these up for yourself, you can feel free to do so. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.